What is up, everyone? This is Everything Star Wars with your host, JG. Today we're going to be talking about the finale of Rebels Season 3, Zero Hour, Part 1 and Part 2. If you have yet to have watched this episode, I highly recommend that you do not listen to this podcast, that you go home right now and watch that episode because the episode is fantastic. If you are still listening, you have watched the Rebels finale, and we're going to just dig right into it. This episode was fantastic. I honestly enjoyed this episode. It was such a flashback to the original trilogy, episode 4, 5, and 6. Even the musical cues. During certain significant points in this episode, Kevin Kline's music just emphasized so much of Rogue One, even New Hope. There was such a beautiful blend of music as we get so much closer to the battle of Rogue One and even into A New Hope. This episode really hit a strong point, and we're gonna just quickly go right into the strong points of this. I think this episode is gonna be one that we remember for a long point, and I think it was very interesting just to see right off the bat the two opposing forces and how Thrawn is playing the long game, and that the long game has now finally come. And I think it was amazing to see that conversation with him, Price, Constantine, and Tarkin, and seeing the two different ideologies between Tarkin and Thrawn. It was so interesting because both in their own mind is right. Both in their own mind have different ways of achieving victory, and how the two ideologies come together. It is so strong and fascinating. I think in the beginning of the episode when Kanan talks to Ezra, for the most part, I was like, oh my gosh, they are foreshadowing his death when he was saying, I have nothing else to teach you. I'm a master. And Ezra just assures him, like, it's not even about the ways of the Force. It's not about the ways of being a Jedi. It's about life, and it's about different things and topics and themes to learn about in life. And I thought that was so strong. And I thought, even at that point, I was so concerned for the fate of Kanan in this episode because I thought they were highly foreshadowing what was to come and that he was to be killed and that Ezra was going to have to live without him. I thought it was a nice throwback to season one, seeing Ezra's lookout, his home, as that's where Callus is sending out the sending out the messages to the rebels as Fulcrum. I also thought that Callus's hair was very interestingly different, and also signified that he is something different. He's a new person. Uh, I think going next right into the Bendu. The Bendu was probably a really one of the most intriguing elements of this episode. And throughout the whole season, we've seen that the Bendu, he keeps saying he's the one in the middle. He isn't light side, dark side. He isn't for the rebels. He isn't for the Imperials. He is there. He is in the middle. It's not one way or another for him. And he just states to exist, neutral. And Kanan feels that he can go ahead and get this being to be on his side, and maybe Kanan knows that he can provoke him, maybe to get him to join their side. But Kanan doesn't realize that fully that when Bendu means he's in the middle, he's in the middle. And I think it was so on the money that whenever Bendu kind of, I guess, morph into the Storm Bendu, I think is what we should say, into the Force Storm, that he is causing havoc not only on the Empire, but also on the rebels because he destroys a rebel ship. Like, it's Bendu wants peace and quiet. He wants to be neutral, and they have brought this war, this battle to this planet where there was nothing there before, really. And now he forces basically everyone to live. And I think what was so interesting was at the ending where he is shot out of the sky, which I didn't think was going to work. But I mean, I guess he is in a way a physical being if he wants to be. Interesting. And Thrawn shoots him out of the sky. He goes, Thrawn finds him, and he's there, and Thrawn sees him because Thrawn is having a conversation. So, or do we think that Thrawn sees him? That's very interesting. I think it is very physical there. And then Bendu tells the prophecy that I think we're going to be talking a lot going into season four. and that is the prophecy about Thrawn's fate. And he says, "I see your defeat, like many arms surrounding you in a cold embrace." Now that is either taken very literal or metaphorically. I think right now it's very metaphorical. I don't think we're actually going to see many cold arms embrace him, unless if that might mean a Sarlacc, maybe? Maybe unless it means something else. It's very interesting prophecy. It even kind of reminded me of the logo of the First Order. I'm not saying that Thrawn is in the First Order or helped create the First Order, but I mean, it's very interesting. And Thrawn goes to kill Bendu and shoots, but then Bendu is not there, but we hear him laughing. So who knows if we're going to see Bendu again or not, and if it's a Force ghost or what's up with that. But that's was I think very, very, very interesting. I think the sacrifice of Sato was very needed for the character. He was basically the biggest character that we lost in this episode. He was, a general, and he sacrificed himself to kind of pull the Intrictor cruiser out so that they can make the jump, so that Ezra could go get help. And by doing that, Constantine breaks his line, and it's very interesting that these two guys that are both leaders in their own mind are trying to do what they think they need to do, and it ends up in both of them dying. And because of it, Ezra is able to escape. He makes the jump to hyperspace. He contacts Mon Mothma, which I thought was really interesting because we know in Rogue One that Mon Mothma talks to Bail Organa, telling him like we should maybe get your Jedi friend. And obviously, we're talking about Obi-Wan. Well, she clearly has a relationship with Ezra. So Ezra must be out of the picture completely by Rogue One because she would be saying, let's get Ezra. But she's talking to Bail about Obi-Wan. So this really means that Ezra is going to have a fate, whether that means Ezra's dead or that means Ezra goes somewhere else. I it's got to be Ezra's fate is he's got to be killed. Because why is Mon Mothma not reaching him in Rogue One? It's very interesting. And Mon Mothma, just like she always is, tells Ezra that they can't get they can't send help because that would risk the whole thing. And so he realizes that the only thing he can do is go to Sabine. And we make our way to Sabine's planet with her family, Clan Ren. Very interestingly, their armor now is no longer that gray, dull-looking armor. It is now very bright Sabine. Definitely put her mark on it, so that's very cool. And I think it's very interesting that they throw this little tidbit in there. I think it's definitely of some signs to come for season four and maybe some other novels or comics even. Is that they reference that they're in the middle of the Mandalorian Civil War. That is huge. Like that is oh my gosh, that is mind-blowing huge. That is so much story and lore and culture right there. And I hope we get to see that in season four, and I hope we get to see that in a book. I'm gonna say now that the girl, I think it's E.K. Johnston who wrote Ahsoka, she did a fantastic job with that, and she even said that she would like to write more books. Why not a Sabine Wren uh, novel written by E.K. Johnston? I think she would hit that out of the park. And talking about this period here, oh my gosh, please, E.K. Johnston, please do it. And after a little like convincing, and Sabine ends up going with some people. Fen Rao goes and some other Mandalorians, and their goal is to take out the other cruiser with a gravity well in it, so that the fleet can escape. And long story short, they end up successfully doing that. And then Price is just basically defenseless, and the fleet starts to escape while Agent Callus is she's so ticked off. She's like, just throw him out. And two stormtroopers, just Bill and Bob, go to take him. And I'm like, really? Really, Price? You don't think he's gonna get away? One of the highest ISB agents. All right. And sure enough, he got away. But I'm not gonna lie. The whole time, like he is escaping, getting in the escape pod. I was literally on the edge of my seat. I honestly did not know how this was going to end. I did not expect him to live. I did not expect him to die. I had no idea what was going to happen, and my mind was just, my heart was racing. My mind was going a million directions, and I was just like, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it? Part of me was like, yes, I hope he makes it. Part of me was like, oh my gosh, it'd be such a sacrifice for him to go. And the fact that he makes it on the ship, and he is now a full-fledged rebel. And he even has the same posture that Ezra has whenever Ezra joins the crew in season one. It's the same posture, the same look. And then everyone, because of the Bendu storm, everyone escapes and they start to flee. And basically, the episode ends, and we get to see that amazing scene. Kane and Ezra talking about how basically, they're talking about that there is. Kanan tells Ezra, like, Ezra's all very upset because they lost, they got destroyed, and the fact that he says that there is a future where we are all free, we have to make it happen, but we have to make it happen. That's the Rebel Alliance. And of course, AP says the very, very crucial line, we're going to Yavin. And I think it's interesting we're skipping Dantooine. Maybe Dantooine's already established. Dantooine is established. We've seen it. So it's part of another cell. Hopefully we hear some mentions of it. Who knows? Something happens on Dantooine. Maybe we get to see that in season four. Maybe not. And then finally, once and for all, we know that Thrawn is still alive. That is huge. That is amazing. That is great. I was so scared they were gonna kill Thrawn off, but Thrawn still has so much story to tell. We still got all of season four, maybe more. Who knows? And I think it's gonna be if it's the last season, I think it's gonna be a fantastic end to the season. Overall, I really love this episode. This episode has so many strong points, so many strong elements. I mean, I really can't think of much less than my only gripe. It's not even really a gripe. It's like I expected there to be more casualty, I guess, more weight and gravitas to Thrawn's impact, and like Thrawn did a huge amount of damage. Thrawn killed a ton of people, but none of the main characters were really. They all made it out, and that's okay. I'm so used to the whole idea, kind of like the Walking Dead idea or even Game of Thrones idea, where someone's major has got to die. It's not necessarily true, but it was definitely everything I wanted. I just expected maybe just a little bit more, but even then, this really just kicks off into what's going to be into season four, and the promise of so much to happen in season four. There's just so much to come and so much more story to tell. It's gonna be amazing to see what happens. I think this episode also was done really well, made well. This would look amazing on a big screen. The battle was some of the best stuff ever, and like I can't even imagine being able to see that on in a movie theater. It was just visually, audibly stunning and very aesthetic to the eyes and ears. The script writing was wonderful. The characters, the acting, it was just fantastic. Overall, this episode, I give it a 5 out of 5. I don't think it's maybe the strongest finale, but that's because this finale is pushing us towards season four. And so, yeah, that's the thoughts for this. I can't wait to see what comes into season four. And this season, season three, is now officially come to an end. It was a good long road. It was amazing. I think I liked 95% of the episodes. I think there maybe could be 3 episodes I can think of on the top of my head that I didn't like. But overall, this season was amazing. Huge props to Dave Filoni, his team, the actors, actresses, the production team, Lucasfilm, the story group. Rebels has been amazing. Rebels is going to continue to be amazing until its very last episode, whether that's the end of season 4 or season 40. I don't think it's going to get that many seasons, but I mean, yeah. And so that's all we have for today's episode, for today's Rebels review. Again, I gave it a 5 out of 5. Very strong episode, strong end to a strong season, and really leaves the door open for season 4 and for the many stories to be told still. I cannot wait to talk to you guys about what is to come in season 4, and I can't wait to recap this whole season as a whole. And next week we will have another episode, even though there is no new Rebels episode. We're going to do a recap of the season, talk about the episodes, since I wasn't able to cover it live with y'all. That's 1 week from today. That's going to be April 2nd, I believe. And we are going to do just basically a recap of season 3, talk about the highlights, the downlights, and all that amazing fun stuff. And then in 2 weeks, it will be Celebration, the end of Celebration weekend, and we will have an episode about everything we saw for season 4. The trailer we're probably going to get, the snippets, the nuggets. We will drop that all. And so again, till next week, we will be doing that. Another Rebels episode recapping all of season 3. And starting this week, we have our regular shows. Our regular shows are going to be coming out, and it's going to be wonderful. I'm so excited. Tuesdays, we're going to be having our Your Theories Suck videos. Uh, Basically, we talk about some of the craziest theories, some of the craziest speculation out there, and we talk about it and we see what we think about it and put our own theories in there. This week is going to start off with, I think, just a fun, famous one that we've all been speculating about. I'll leave y'all a little enticed about what that might be. I'll drop a preview tomorrow on Monday for what is to come. Thursday, it is our show a long time ago, which basically we will be doing uh, what has happened this week in Star Wars in the years past. So a little history lesson, and also doing a review from a past thing that has come out so that our channel can catch up with all the books, comics, TV shows. We have all the reviews. This week we will be reviewing Lost Stars by Claudia Gray, which is argued one of the best new canon novels. And then on Sunday night, we will be having a weekly report of everything breaking news about Star Wars, whether that is about the films, whether that's about the TV show, whether that's about actors, anything else, the parks, you name it. Get all your Star Wars news Sunday night. Again, you can find all this info on our Twitter at Star Wars underscore E. And that is all we have for today. Again, thank you guys so much for listening. Until next Sunday, may the force be with you.